Hello, hi, my name is Nomatlobi. I am back again with another reaction video. Today on the episode we have I don't know, is it an opinion piece or a video by Ronald S. Martin, who actually reacted from an interview that Erik Prince did a while back, talking about colonizing Africa because their leaders do not have capabilities or leadership skills or capabilities to lead. So, yeah, here we go.
What we know about the history of white folks abusing the continent of Africa. We know about the Berlin Conference, where literally they got together and split up Africa and said, well, who's going to take different parts? We know about King Leopold killing more people. Let me be very clear, killing more people in the Congo than Hitler killed Jews in Europe. We can go on and on and on how the French, how the British, how the United States, all of these countries raped and pillaged the continent of Africa. Now we have the caucasity of Erik Prince, the founder of Blackwater, the largest private military company in the world. He actually said this in a recent interview.
All this talk of illegal migration in Europe, in the United States, it ultimately comes down to a contest of what is governance. Who is governed? Which countries are governed well? And if so many of these countries around the world are incapable of governing themselves, then it's time for us to put the imperial hat back on to say, we're going to govern those countries if you're incapable of governing yourselves, because enough is enough. We're done being invaded.
Because our own national security risk is at stake.
Exactly.
National security interests are at stake.
You can say that about pretty much all of Africa. They're incapable of governing themselves and benefiting their citizens because the governments there are all about looting and pillaging and lining their pockets and going shopping in Paris instead of actually making their country better.
People on the left are going to watch this. They're going to say, wait a minute, Erik Prince is talking about being a colonialist again.
Absolutely. Yes. Enough. Because if you go to these countries and you see how they suffer under absolutely corrupt, made-up governments that are just criminal syndicates, the people of Africa, the people of Latin America, a lot of them deserve better. Now, some countries are really getting it together. Look at what El Salvador did. Bukele, murder capital of Latin America, he said, no more. Now El Salvador is safer than Prince William County. And he took just south of Washington, D.C. He put all the MS-13 guys in prison. Ecuador, about to do the same thing. New president there. The previous presidential candidate had been assassinated, but new guy gets elected. He announces he's contracted with the same building contractor that they built the prisons in El Salvador, going to build them in Ecuador. The prisoners there, the cartels revolt and try to take over the capital in Ecuador a couple weeks ago. So it's not all bad. There's some great governance. I like Argentina. God bless Milei. I mean, yes. So, but the countries that cannot fix themselves, particularly in Africa, the worst, it's time to think about other governance options because they are clearly not capable of self-government.
The countries in Africa that cannot fix themselves. See, that's quite interesting that you would hear Erik Prince say those things because, and y'all do know that his sister is Betsy DeVos, who served as the education secretary under Donald Trump. This shows that she's an idiot and her brother's an idiot because they don't know anything about American history. In fact, I'm going to use one particular country y'all heard me just mention, the Congo. There's a book, great conversation. Go to the Black Table discussion with Dr. Greg Carr on the Black Star Network, and he had a phenomenal conversation with Stuart Reed. Stuart Reed is the author of this book. This book is called The Lumumba Plot, The Secret History of the CIA and a Cold War Assassination. Stuart Reed details in this book that Lumumba came to the United States and during one of his visits after he became prime minister. And in a particular meeting, President Dwight Eisenhower gave the order to assassinate Lumumba, to take him out. It is documented by some that this was the first time in American history where a president gave a direct order to take out a foreign leader. I don't believe that's the case, though. So here they are. They get their independence from Belgium. 2 months in, the CIA and others work to kill Lumumba. Here you murder, you align with his opponents, you kill him, the country goes into chaos, leads to Mobutu becoming a dictator. Let me say it again. We helped put a dictator in office, and that country is still trying to gain its footing since it got its independence. What would the Congo look like today had the United States not aligned with others to take out Patrice Lumumba in the Congo? Let's go on to some other countries. Folks in the control room, pull up a book called Overthrow. Folks, the author is Stephen Kinzer. And I'll see if I can pull it up myself. Stephen Kinzer, longtime New York Times writer. He wrote a particular book that all of you need to read, and it's called Overthrow. The book details the 13 examples where the United States directly overthrew other governments. Oh, y'all don't hear me. Y'all don't hear me. 13 different times the United States actually overthrew other governments. Yeah. What I'm saying is absolutely correct. So here we are talking, here's Erik Prince talking about these other countries and how they now have all of these problems, and we must take these countries over in order to get them under control because these people can't govern themselves. Yet we, the United States, play a role in making this happen. This is the book right here, Overthrow. America's century of regime change from Hawaii to Iraq. We can detail what took place in Libya. We can talk about what happened in Guatemala. Are y'all aware, Kinzer writes it in his book, that the Panama Canal originally was not supposed to go through Panama. That was supposed to go through another country. But the United States told that country, oh, in order for you to finance the canal, you have got to use American banks. The country said, no, we're good. We got a better deal with European banks. So the United States, along with the PR company, created this entire story that was a lie, that there was a particular volcano in this country that hadn't erupted in centuries, somehow could erupt, and that will destroy the canal. That's how it was built in a canal. In fact, let me just go ahead and stay on Panama. Noriega was running drugs in Panama. Guess who payroll Noriega was on? The CIA's. Come on, do y'all even know where the phrase banana republic comes from? The phrase banana republic comes from United States and other countries overthrowing governments because the plantation owners control the land. They control the country. So the phrase a banana republic comes from, again, the overthrow of governments, to aid economics. Let's not talk about Chile. Kinzer details that ITT one of the first global companies, called the CIA and said, hey, we'll pay for y'all to overthrow Chile. They said, hold up now, we ain't really down for that yet. So they told ITT, thanks, but no thanks. They then came back a couple of years later when Allende became the president. Allende said, wait a minute. Why are we sitting here, all these other companies controlling telecommunications, controlling all of our economics? Allende says, we're going to nationalize this. America, oh hell no. Whoa, hold up. You talking about you going to nationalize all this stuff? That means these American companies not going to keep making all this money? No, hell no. Guess what we did? Call ITT. We overthrow Chile. Got rid of Allende. Put in Pinochet, who killed millions of folks. America did that.
I would like to give you a background check about this Erik Prince guy, but before I do that, let us pay tribute to the leaders that we lost, not just in Africa, but the leaders that we lost in the hands of imperialist states. Let's just have a moment of silence for some of the good leaders that God gave us and the greedy West took from us. Erik Prince, that guy you just listened to, Erik Prince. Let's talk about him for a moment before we just analyze what he's talking about. This is the founder of Blackwater, and his company kept on changing names because it was implicated in fraud and all of these accusations, allegedly, because we don't want to be sued here. But his company kept on changing names because of these fraud allegations. Blackwater has been accused of doing money laundering for government officials. At some point, he was an informal advisor for Donald Trump. This is the guy who's talking about recolonizing Africa. This is the guy also, according to United States journalist, who is profiting with wars that are taking place. I've read and actually watched something about profits that are made when there is a war, you know, those tenders. So this guy is talking about corruptions in Africa, and yet he has a lot of accusations and corruptions and tenders that he got illegally just because he is Erik Prince, right? He was allegedly involved in money laundering for Libyan officials. So this is the guy who's talking about how corrupt African leaders are. However, he is working hand in hand, allegedly, with African leaders to do this corruption. This is this guy who's saying we must, or the West, or America, or whoever he's talking to, must recolonize Africa, because their leaders are corrupt. They do not have the leadership skills to lead us. However, I do not believe a guy like Erik Prince would just say something when there's nothing, or like there's in the background playing out. Just you know, where there's smoke, there's fire. So I think that there's a reason why he's saying this. My opinion, if we can just take a look at what's going on politics globally, continentally, whatever, where there's smoke, there's fire, and there's guys that are paid to say these things in the media, or to start an uproar, or just to cause a reaction, whatever the case may be. Because why is anyone in America not reprimanding this guy for saying things like this? Because it seems like it's normal, and he's talking about colonization after so many treaties were signed by the UN on the drops of sanctions and world peace. He is talking about recolonizing other country, a continent for that matter. I do not want us to ignore the fact that Africa is rich in resources, which his country is not. Without Africa, his country is poor. These are facts. So what if African leaders are no longer dancing to the tunes of the supremacist, or let me call a spade, a white supremacist, and now, because things are going out of hand, recolonization talks are taking place. Because Israel was ordered to cease fire by the international courts. So many countries are against what Israel is doing, and they're calling it a genocide, because civilians are dying, women are dying, children are dying. But Israel is not stopping what they're doing, terrorizing innocent people in the name of Hamas and all of that, like as if innocent people are Hamas. It is logic that Israel is getting away with war crimes, even after countries or international courts intervenes to say, Israel, please cease fire. So a guy like this can say, let's recolonize the continent again, and get away with it. Nobody is reprimanding. There's no follow-up story to say he is apologizing, or as if he is in his right mind. He is coming up with solutions to oppress people of another continent. I'd like us to actually look at a tweet posted a while back again by it's a social media post by a former minister of economics of France, who is actually saying something else, but to me, same message, different context, different speaker. Let's check it out. Okay, here we go. The audacity of this man to I'm not sure, what is he doing? Is he complaining, or can I just read this? So this guy is actually not happy about the way Emmanuel Macron, the French president, is running things, and he seems to be not happy about the way Africans are waking up into, or especially with the coups happening in West Africa. Those are French colonies. For the guy to actually say French will lose its colonies, as if like with those colonies, these African states are still colonized. Like he's talking about it as if it's present. These are still colonized, and those who successfully ran coups in their countries, they've lost those colonies. They are colonies. So to me, it tells me that he is saying that there are still countries in Africa who are colonized. So I'll look at it like this. Which one are those? Well, Benin colonized by France, because Benin is so against Niger and blocking Niger oil to China. So basically doesn't want, or it seems like it doesn't want Niger to be making money out of the oil that Niger is selling to China, because it's a good deal. When I look at it, I made a video about it. If you can go check it out, it's the deal about Mali, because China and Russia, when I look at stories done, especially by media houses from the America or the USA and France, they make it seem as if Russia and China are imposing themselves in Africa. They're smooth talking Africa into working with it. Whereas these are just two parties working together, unlike past references where presidents are complaining that African presidents actually are complaining that the West leaders are imposing their ideologies and everything else to them. If they do not want, they tell them, we will sanction you, which is against the law as well, according to the treaties signed as the United Nations. So apparently, according to what the statement says, Africa waking up. Africa, you need to wake up. You need to see how powerful you are. Africa waking up will make France suffer. So that means Africa suffering now. Insurgencies, poverty, unemployment, is to make France and other colonizers to be comfortable. So who needs to be uncomfortable for the other not to become? I've realized that the issue here is not racism. It's just people not wanting to let go of the comforts they've made in the expense of the others. So Europe, according to this man, Europe needs to unite and fight this new vision of Africa, which is the vision of a united Africa, leading Africans towards fulfilling an African dream. And I'm sure if you are aware of what's happening in Africa right now, Russia is helping some of the African, Zimbabwe and Nigeria with training in nuclear energy and just clean energy. So Africa is moving towards developing. So this means that, according to the statement, an underdeveloped Africa is a developed Europe. What makes European and the United States of America developed or superpowers is because Africa is underdeveloped. So now that these leaders are talking about ditching currencies like the CFA, which is the currency that came with France to the colonies of France. I heard President Faye from Senegal spoke about that. The Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, as the AES, are actually talking about that. They've been speaking about it for a while. I just can't wait for them to actually ditch the currency. Zimbabwe is doing great with a currency that is backed with the dollar, with currency backed with their gold. That they're doing really well for a country that was sanctioned by the United States. So according to Robert Martin's video, when he analyzes it, if you go against United States or these other European countries, you get consequences like this. You get sanctions, you get overthrown. The best, I'll say, one of the best leaders to be born in Africa, Gaddafi, was killed. And no one is apologizing to the country in Libya. No one is saying anything. Libya is now a hotspot for slavery, people coming in and out, wanting to go to Europe, immigrants or Africans wanting to migrate to Europe. It's chaos. The country was better off when Gaddafi was still alive. Libyans still complain to this day that their father used to do great things. No one is saying sorry. Simple, I'm sorry. Simple. They said that Gaddafi was posing threats to civilians, which we all know it was just some propaganda cooked so that when so that they have an excuse why they assassinated Gaddafi, who was speaking about having one currency for Africa, United States of Africa, a vision which now that Africans are awake are talking about a lot. Thomas Sankara. Well, Patrice Lumumba. Guys, I shouldn't go on, but it's because of United States of Africa, of America, and European countries that Africans are underdeveloped and losing good leaders because they do not have the resources that we have, and they want to continue to loot and Africa remain not semi-peripheral, whatever, underdeveloped. And corrupt leaders, let's talk about corrupt leaders. How do they come about? I wish I can speak Zulu. I'll translate. Angithi lama countries lawa bathenga ama leaders wethu mabaqeda ukwathenga, if they do not want to do what they agreed that they would do, then they say we will publish the scandal. They pay leaders to interfere with internal affairs in African countries, which is illegal according to UN laws. Why did you sign these treaties that you don't live up by? Why did you do that? Who's a fool? Who's a fool? Because now we are learned. Isn't it against UN law or international courts for other countries to intervene internal affairs? What is this thing that of the West paying government officials, opposition parties to be specific, to cause chaos in other countries? We do that in every African country. There's no changes. There's something that who's president of Rwanda, Kagame, said. He's not my favorite, but he said this, and he's actually right, that as Africans, we need to eventually stop being victims and strike first. Being an attacker, we've been defending for so long, and this defending thing keeps on dragging us back. We are not going forward because we are defending ourselves. We should be the one coming up with strategies now. Like the President Jacob Zuma, or former President Jacob Zuma, the former president of South Africa, who now has a new political party in South Africa. We need to come up with strategies. We need to play this game. We can't be defending forever. Africa is a victim forever. No. Because snitches will be snitches. There will forever be snitches in Africa. So long as Africa have people who grew up poor, who cannot get used to money. When they see money, they go crazy. Because they didn't grow up with money. So now when they see money, they feel like it's the end of the world. They can do anything. I hear that there's this saying that everybody has a price. However, there's a story that I covered, or I came across about the interim president of Niger, who said to Emmanuel Macron, keep your money, I'll keep my Africa. We need leaders like that. We have leaders like that. Don't say Africa have corrupt leaders. Check how Burkina Faso is doing well after they've ditched their colonizer France. Check how Niger is doing well. I know they are doing a lot of sabotaging Mali. However, check how Mali is also doing well. And I just hope that the people of the Sahel, or AES, the civilians of those countries, fight for those leaders to stay longer. If we Africans want those people or our people to be dictators, let us be, because your democracy is a cover-up for you or the Western countries to do crimes against humanity, because these are crimes against humanity. Anyway, thank you for watching. Please tell me what you think in the comment section below. Please subscribe and share this video. Bye.